Well, welcome back to Patterson Properties. Hopefully you guys are having a great and exceptional day. Alright, let's get this video going. Okay, so what I'm about to discuss isn't a big surprise, family. America is a great country to live in, so we're not saying anything bad about any country specifically, and specifically nothing bad about America. Let's get that out here straight. But affordability has been the talk of the town for the last 10 years in this country. But has making America more affordable become something of any real significance? Not at all, in my personal opinion. Especially when it comes to the economy, most high-paying jobs are in major cities that have very, very high cost of living. So according to the article that I read today, here's a list of the most affordable cities to live in. Unaffordable cities to live in. New York, of course, number one. Surprised San Francisco wasn't number one on the list, but and the article says one of the largest metros where price momentum remains elevated and affordability pressure persists. Now, I remember during the pandemic when a lot of people left New York, that was actually a good time to be a renter in New York. The prices of real estate actually went down for the first time. Not significantly major in regards to the price of real estate and real estate, but it went down, and that's a big deal in New York City. So. Or even the state of New York, because they lost so many people during the pandemic. Los Angeles, my favorite city, I'll be there soon. Ongoing high median prices despite periodic softening in demand. And that's the truth, because even during the pandemic, a lot of prices went down a little bit in LA because of the lockdowns, number one, but then number two, LA is not the vibrant city that it used to be because of gentrification and because of a lot of because of one of the biggest employers known as Hollywood has gone through a major change, and being able to get a decent job in Hollywood isn't what it used to be. And a lot of people that even work remotely in Hollywood don't even live in Hollywood anymore. So the California dream is not what it used to be, and I'm a big fan of California, but they got some things to work out. I think the world in general has a lot to work out, but I'll leave that alone. Chicago, Illinois has steady valued increases and supply tightening driving affordability gaps, and this happened specifically during the pandemic for various different reasons. But definitely, Chicago is one of those places when that used to be considered a blue-collar, affordable city in the Midwest, and it's no longer the case anymore. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, price growth continues to outpace income gains in 2025 and 2026. Philadelphia is a city that's become gentrified. Used to be a nice blue-collar, affordable city to live in, but not anymore, unfortunately. Between people that have come from all over the world to people, specifically a big influx of people from New Jersey and New York moving to Philadelphia, because it's still, even to this day, it's still cheaper to live in Philadelphia compared to living in New York City. And then gentrification is taking place in Philadelphia from other, in a sense, trying to yuppie-tize the city. So that has contributed to the gentrification in the last 10 to 20 years in the city of Philadelphia. San Francisco, not a big surprise there. The Bay Area is literally the most expensive part of the country to live in the United States of America. It's number one compared to New York. New York is number two. San Francisco's steep price base and limited inventory pressure affordability, and that's the thing. There's just not, in the city of San Francisco as a whole, there's not, it's an island in the sense it's on the coastline. It's a peninsula. So you can't, therefore the demand is always going to be high because obviously housing, there's not enough room to build housing in San Francisco anymore. It's a nice city, but they have a lot of problems there, so it's just unfortunate. But beautiful city. Definitely recommend traveling to San Francisco one day. Anyways, San Jose, California, among the highest metro home prices nationwide, challenging affordability, especially given the fact that San Jose, Sacramento, all those areas that are on the outskirts of San Francisco within an hour to 2 hour radius. A lot of people have been pushed out of San Francisco and all the surrounding areas, so people had to go to places like Sacramento and San Jose in order to find something a little bit more affordable and cheaper. Miami, Florida, been there one time, wasn't impressed, and that was 11 years ago. Nice city. I'm just not a Florida person because I'm not big on the heat in Florida during the summertime and all the bugs and whatnot. But I don't see anything wrong for Florida for those who do like it. So once again, I'm not saying nothing bad about it. It's not for me. Its article says that strong demand and limited supply, keeping prices high. And once again, because of the community that Miami is, it's not really a lot of room for growth in regards to being able to just throw up houses, new development and whatnot. And that's why they're having such a crisis. As the state of Florida as a whole has become gentrified. And at the end of the day, Miami's a playground for the well-to-do. I mean, that's why people like Jeff Bezos has moved there. Florida is the state in the South that is for the well-to-do, because they go there to not have to deal with the high taxes and no income state taxes like you would have to deal with in the state of New York or California. So I get it. Even Tony Robinson left California and moved to Florida. I call Florida the rich person's paradise in the South. Anyways, Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, nice area. Used to have family in Dallas, Plano area specifically. Elevated prices despite slowing growth relative to prior years. And I've seen the gentrification happen throughout this whole state of Texas. You've had an influx of people from New York and California move to Dallas. Once again, Texas is no state income tax. Not a big fan of the weather in Texas in the summertime, but outside of that, I'm more of a Houston guy, but Dallas is a nice city. But when it comes to growth, there's room to build housing and things of that nature, but the demand is so high that even with the room that state of Texas has compared to Florida and compared to San Francisco, it's still, the demand is so high, and cities like this are overflowing that there's just not a real unless there's an economic collapse of Dallas is not a big reason to for the prices to go down. Or just I always say you have to have a 2007 collapse, unfortunately, in order to have an actual correction when it comes to real estate in this country as a whole. But that's just my personal opinion, and I'll leave it at that. Anyways, I digress. So Houston, Texas, speaking of which, because that's my spot. That's my favorite spot when I come to Texas. I might get down there again this summer, but we'll see. We'll see what happens and go from there. Anyways, inventory tightening has limited affordability and improvements. Houston's had a big influx of people, and they still have an inventory problem, and they've even had to get rid of certain specific zoning laws to build more real estate within the state of Texas. The city of Houston and whatnot. But we'll see what happens in the future. Now we come to my home area, the DMV area, known as Washington, D.C. Continued market strength and tight supply maintain affordability strain. One thing though that has happened in D.C. though is like the culture of, the biggest employer is the federal government, and because there's been such a cut in federal budgets lately, you don't see the big demand for people to want to move to the DC area like that. Number one. Number two, the prices have not gone down because there's not really room. DC's another city where there's not enough room to build. Now, when I say the DMV area, you have Maryland right next door, and Virginia, where I live at, right next door. So they're building more housing, not affordable housing, but they're building more housing, specifically townhomes and luxury apartments all over. But when it comes to the city limits of the District of Columbia, known as Washington, D.C., there's no real room for a lot of growth in regards to building more real estate. So therefore, the supply is limited, and therefore the prices are high and they go up. Now, the cities that I have mentioned have had exponential growth when it comes to jobs, population, and various other things. Unless there is a major economic downturn, like I said earlier, like a 2007-8 timeframe, I do not foresee any changes happening in these high-priced real estate markets. Here are the 7 cities where prices for real estate is in decline. Tampa, and St. Petersburg, Florida, forecast projects a slowdown or a mild price retreat in 2026. And like I said, the state of Florida as a whole has become gentrified. and the job market is not the best because it's a tourist destination state at the end of the day. Texas has more. When it comes to states in the South, Texas has a stronger economy. Tennessee has a strong economy. North Carolina has a stronger economy. Georgia has a stronger economy compared to Florida, because those states that I just mentioned are not as heavily dependent on tourism. And especially now, the way that the economy is, tourism is not going to be in high demand like it used to be, because restaurants are suffering, because going to a restaurant is becoming a luxury. And like with Spirit Airlines going out of business, being able to travel is going to start to become a luxury. So. But that's just my personal opinion. I'll leave it at that. Jacksonville, Florida. Slower demand and raising inventory are reducing competitive pressure. Once again, Jacksonville is usually not the city. Nothing wrong with Jacksonville, but that's usually not the city that people get excited about going to when it comes to Florida. Majority of the time, people want to go to two places. They visit Florida. Orlando for the family, for Disneyland and Universal Studios, and Miami for the party and for the relaxation and laid backness. Now, other people will go to other parts of the state of Florida to go hang out at the beach, because that's basically what Florida is hanging out at the beach. However, when it comes to the major tourism dollars, it's going to be Orlando and Miami, hands down. Moving on next. All right, Atlanta, Georgia. More balanced market conditions have increased negotiation power for buyers. Now, Atlanta's been gentrified. However, when it comes to the market conditions, they've increased in negotiation power for buyers, and a lot of people, because Atlanta has come. This is the downside sometimes to gentrification. Because Atlanta has since become gentrified, a lot of people started to leave Atlanta and go to other parts of Georgia, and a lot of people are going to Alabama, Mississippi, and South Carolina, because it's 10 times cheaper to live in those areas compared to Atlanta, Georgia, and whatnot. So with that being said, if the demand goes away, therefore the prices will come down. If you build it and they don't come, the prices go down. Number 4, Phoenix, Arizona. Another favorite city. Recent price easing and longer time on the market gives buyers more leverage. And a lot of homes have been, and I get emails about Phoenix all the time because I was thinking about moving there at one time. And the one thing is for sure that yes, a lot of homes, the prices have been cut. City's going through somewhat of a reorganization when it comes to the job market, number 1. Number 2, a lot of people have left the city in the state of Arizona because they can't stand the heat there. And then another thing is a lot of people are just not willing to pay. Certain markets, a lot of people are just not willing to pay an egregious price of $1 million to $500,000 for an older home or even a new home. So Detroit, Michigan's number 5. Slower price growth and raising inventory improved affordability. So Detroit has always been one of those places where even when they try to gentrify it, it's never gentrified to the point of a Chicago, and I'll stick to the Midwest. The main cities in the Midwest that have been considered to be unaffordable to live in are Chicago and Indianapolis, Indiana, because they have robust economies, number 1, and number 2, compared to the rest of the Midwest, for the Midwestern standards. Number 2, Detroit, Michigan, the heyday of Detroit, Michigan is auto plants. The auto industry is always going through a lot of things. Now they brought other industries within the city, but still one of the biggest employers is the auto manufacturing industry. And because manufacturing is not the same in America, and it never will be, because the robots are here and the robots are coming. I could just foresee, the prices in Detroit continuously go down, even though the city's been come back. It's not like it was in the 1990s and 80s and whatnot, when it was just, 90%, 50, 80% of the city turned to a crap hole and whatnot because of the Ford companies leaving the city. But, prices will continuously decline, especially if there's not a big demand of people moving to Detroit. You've had people move to Detroit, but you haven't had a major influx of people moving to Detroit like you see people moving to Atlanta. I'll just put it like that. So, or Dallas or Houston. So anyways, Boston, Massachusetts, slight cooling relative to prior growth phases with inventory climbing. Now, Boston is its own city, but it's definitely not New York, and never will be New York in regards to the lifestyle that it can offer and whatnot. And the job market has a decent job market, but it doesn't have a New York City job market. And most of the times when people think of the Northeast, they think of New York City. People get excited about New York. Most of the times people don't get excited about living in Boston. They get excited about visiting Boston. So, and then because of the affordability issues, that's why. And you know, a lot of people's like, yeah, I don't want to pay $1 million to $2 million for a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom home. So for a lot of people, it just drives down the demand for various different aspects. And then the economy's in the toilet. So if the job market's not the best in a place, then obviously people can't afford to buy a house in that city. So therefore, the prices are going to go down. Last but not least, Seattle, Washington, one of my favorite cities to visit. Price growth has softened and supply has improved, widening buyer options. Now, the good thing about Washington State is they don't have an income state tax, but a lot of people, they can love Seattle, they can not love Seattle, meaning because of the weather, because of the energy, but the prices, you know, the city's gone through a gentrification, and a lot of people have left the city of of Seattle, and left Washington State as a whole. So therefore, the demand is not what it used to be. And then the tech industry, which is a big employer there, and the aviation industry, which is a big employer there, shout out to Boeing, isn't what it used to be as far as in the job market and the demand. So therefore, crappy economy equals less people being able to buy a house or willing to buy a house. So therefore, the prices go down. Now, the number one reason why high prices have slightly cooled down in these areas is because, like I said, local economies in these areas in a slight decline or population decline. You know, so it just is what it is. So, anyways, this video was much longer than I wanted it to be, but I'm glad I was able to give my perspective and go from there. So on that note, don't forget to check out Patterson Properties, with wholesale real estate in the DMV area and the Eastern Pennsylvania area. All right, if you're a stock market investor, crypto investor, individual retirement account investor, don't forget to check out webull-acomscripted.com, Coinbase, all these platforms you'll be able to make money move, so you don't live broke like a fool. Remember, you can't get fired if you own the company. It's 2026. It's time you know so. Do the great three things. Like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day. Make money move so you can live broke like a fool. It's in Spanish. Bienvenido a la vida. Welcome to the life.